Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. We are back again with a new video. How is Python's threading limited by the Global Interpreter Lock? So in this video, you'll see how Python's Global Interpreter Lock affects multi-threading, especially with CPU bound versus IO bound tasks using real code that will break down with examples. So let's start the video. So firstly, let us understand that what is Global Interpreter Lock. So the Global Interpreter Lock or GIL is a mechanism that allows only one thread to execute Python bytecode at a time. That means no matter how many threads you start, only one runs Python code at a time. Why? Because see, Python's memory management isn't thread safe. But not everything is blocked. The GIL can be released during IO operations or C extensions, and we'll see that in action. So let's start this with a simple example, which is CPU bound task where threading fails. So now let's start this with writing its program. And I'll tell you what every line means. So here in the first line where import threading, we import Python's threading module to create threads, and import time. We also import time to measure how long the script takes. And then def count, this defines a CPU heavy function, and then x is equals to 0, which starts a counter at 0. So now what it does is, here we create a for loop. It loops 100 million times. That's a lot of CPU work. Then x plus is equals to 1 is each time it connects, it increments the counter. And then start time dot time, we mark the start time to measure how long everything takes place. So now let's understand this. So here T1 is equals to threading dot thread and T2 is equals to threading dot thread. Here we create two threads and each will run the count function. Then T1 dot start and T2 dot start, we start both threads, but the GIL only allows one thread to run Python code at a time. So they take turns, not run in true parallels. Then T1 dot join and T2 dot join. Here we wait for both the threads to finish before moving on. So here we calculate how much time passed and print it. So even with thread, this task run almost as slow as just calling count twice. So that's the GIL in action. So now we'll run its output and see what does it gives. So as we can see its output, and it takes some seconds to give the output. And now let's dive into another example, which is IO bound task where threading wins. So let's start its code. So here in this example, firstly what we do is some import, which is threading for concurrency and time for delays and measuring. And then we create a function which is simulate download. We define a fake download function. Then we give print statement which will print, it prints when the download starts. And then time.sleep2, this simulates a 2-second network delay, and this is a key sleep function which releases the GIL. And then again we give the print statement that tells us when the task is done. So here what we do is, firstly start is equals to time.time, we record when we begin, and then t1 is equals to threading.thread, and similarly we'll create one more thread which is t2. So here two threads are created to run the download function, and then as we have seen in the previous example, again so here both start at nearly the same time, and here We wait until they both finishes. So here we measure the total time and display it, and then we write a print statement to print. So here this will print the line, and now we'll see its output. So as we can see, its output is, firstly it prints starting download, and then it prints that the download is complete, and it shows the time taken with thread is 2.01 seconds. So this time the output is faster. So as in the previous example we have seen that the output took nearly 7.67 seconds, and in this example it only took 2 seconds to display the output. So both downloads complete in about 2 seconds total, not 4, because IO lets thread to overlap. Now we can see one more example with multiprocessing for CPU tasks. So to really use multiple CPU cores, we switch from thread to process each with their own Python interpreters and GIL. So now let's start the same example with multiprocessing. So here what we do is we import from the multiprocessing module just like threading but using real OS process, and then we import time, still tracking time for the benchmarking, and now we'll create a function. So here we create a function, same CPU bound function as before. So here also we create the similar function as we have created in the first example. And here what we do is like, firstly we have created the same function, and then we have started the timing, and now we have created two process which each process targeting the count function, and now we'll write. So here we launch them, and now they do run on separate CPU cores, and similarly we'll do. And here we wait until both of them finishes, and again as we have seen in the previous steps. So here we'll end this, and we'll add a print statement in this. So here we print this and now we can check its output, how much time it takes to give the output. So as we can see, this is more fast than the previous one. This only takes 0.14 seconds to give the output. So now you'll see it's significantly faster than using thread because multiprocessing avoids the GIL. And now what we understood is GIL allows only one thread to run Python's bytecode at a time, and threading doesn't help CPU bound tasks. Threading helps IO bound tasks, for example networking and disk. Multiprocessing lets you use multiple CPU cores, and libraries like NumPy and PIL release the GIL internally. And if you are doing scientific computing, machine learning or image processing, use libraries like NumPy, TensorFlow or Pillow, which is PIL. So they are written in C and can release the GIL behind the scenes, allowing real concurrency. So now you know exactly when Python threads help and when they don't. If you are CPU bound, use microprocessing, and if you have IO bound, use threads. So the GIL is trade-off for simplicity and safety. But with the right tools, you can still build fast concurrent Python apps. So if this video helped you, hit a like button, subscribe for more Python tutorials. Thanks for watching this video.